I don't need anybody else. I have Patreon. Make sure to support us at patreon.com/BattleGeekPlus.
Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Resident Evil 5! So after the awesomeness that was Resident Evil 4, it was only natural that I would be super mega excited for Resident Evil 5, because I knew that Capcom was gonna continue using the awesome third-person action view of Resident Evil 4, which made it so awesome. And I remember seeing a Japanese magazine scan of this game, and this American site was like, you know, this is going to be the protagonist of Resident Evil 5. We don't know who he is, but I read the katakana on it and it said Kurisu, and I was like, dude, that's Chris Redfield. So I messaged my friend saying, dude, the protagonist of Resident Evil 5 is going to be Chris Redfield, and he was like, no, it's not. That guy doesn't look like Chris. And I was like, well, dude, the Japanese katakana in the article says it's going to be Chris. It says Kurisu. And he's like, what the fuck? Kurisu doesn't mean Chris. And like, you don't know Japanese. But I do know the katakana said Kurisu. He's like, you're lame. Fuck you. And this is why I don't talk to that asshole anymore. You know, so as the months progressed, they were showing more previews, and they definitely confirmed this was Chris Redfield. And you're gonna find out what happened to Chris between Resident Evil Code Veronica until now. And so as the game was getting closer to release, people were saying a certain rumor that one of my favorite heroes of the Resident Evil franchise, Jill Valentine, had passed away. And I didn't want to believe it at first. And then I saw the picture of Chris standing at Jill's grave. No. No. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. Oh, Jill. Jill. Okay, sorry about that, folks. I mean... You were my Valentine, I know, Jill. Yeah, so I remember in December of 2008, a couple of months before the game released in March 2009, this message board released, or specifically leaked out the Japanese demo that you had to burn to a DVD-ROM, and then you can play it off your Xbox 360. I didn't have a modded Xbox 360 to play, but you could still play it without the modded Xbox. I remember the first two levels that they had in the game were Bernard Fisher gets his head chopped off and you have to fight the Executioner, which was really, really intense. I remember my nephew came over and we played that, and then the other demo level was the level where you fought the dude with the chainsaw and you had to do some co-op where you had to let Sheva jump to another ledge. I remember the chainsaw guy being pretty easy to beat. So I also remember the helicopter. The guy was like, oh my god, what the fuck are those? And we were like, what the fuck are those? Are they dropping the F word in Resident Evil? Although Leon dropped shit in Resident Evil 4, so I guess that's where they're going. Oh yeah, there was also Resident Evil Outbreak where that guy was like, my life is shit! My life is shit! My life is shit! Yeah, so I pre-ordered the game from Best Buy, picked it up from Best Buy, brought it home, played it, saw Chris driving around with his sunglasses, but he didn't wear them as cool as Albert Wesker, who does appear in this game, because he's Albert Wesker. And we are introduced to our lovely partner Sheva Elamar, who accompanies you the entire game, unlike Ashley from Resident Evil 4, who gets kidnapped, kind of an on and off type of thing. She is with you the entire game, and they do the multiplayer in this game really well. Actually, I remember playing the first couple levels with my friend, and then playing the last couple levels with my friend. And then when I finished the game the first time, my friend was like, oh hey, could you play the game with me so I can, you know, unlock a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, the co-op in this game was done really well. So I remember this game being really short compared to Resident Evil 4, because I remember, like I mentioned in the Resident Evil 4 video, the developers thought the castle part went on a bit too long, and for Resident Evil 5 they wanted to make it more of a straight up action game that you can replay multiple times, because when you beat this game you can carry on the weapons you had onto higher difficulty levels. I ended up beating all the difficulty levels of this game, even expert, because I had all the best weapons anyways, which I just farmed in the lower difficulty levels, and I just bought them all and I was able to play them in the final difficulty level, although the fight with El Gigante in the car was very difficult in expert mode. Well, and also what made the game length short were the levels were very short. I remember the fight with the Executioner went by pretty quickly, and I also remember most of the little sections as you go through the game are really short, and there were a lot of cutscenes, which did take up the majority of the game. I remember Ricardo Irving, that really annoying guy, who was like, "Boom! Fireworks! Oh my god, yes!"
Just in time for the fireworks show! Boom!
He was kind of like the evil version of Roger Rabbit. I was just waiting for him to go, "Please, Chris, you don't have to kill me. You'll never see Jill again. Oh, I'm gonna infect myself with the Plagas because I failed." Oh, I'm hopping in the ocean as the big Plagas monster, and I like blah, blah, blah.
Italian's not so bad, but it's not gonna change anything. You're still screwed!
Where's the time here?
Chris!
Yeah, I didn't like this guy. I'm glad he's dead.
Poor bastard.
And also remember, the boss encounters weren't exactly difficult. They weren't exactly super memorable until the last couple of ones, which I won't spoil till later. And also what does kind of suck about this game, like the first 4 games, including Code Veronica, had a good scary atmosphere, but most of the time in this game you were fighting in the daylight against Maginis, which are the Ganados of this game, because the zombies still aren't back yet. And this time the Los Plagas was advanced. Now they take over the Maginis of Africa really quickly, and so you're fighting those, and they didn't really give you as much of a fight like most of the enemies in Resident Evil 4. They didn't cooperate. They didn't, knock down doors to get to you. I mean, yeah, they still climb ladders, but yeah, they didn't provide much of a challenge compared to Resident Evil 4. So yeah, we do get a lot of lackluster levels. I still remember that part where, Josh is activating the computer and you had to defend him. I was like, oh my god, this is going to be just like the cabin fight in Resident Evil 4. Nah, it wasn't. Just shoot the enemies as they come, and that's kind of it, really. And then we got the flashback where we saw how Jill died. They tracked, Spencer Oswell to his estate in Europe, and then they had the big Matrix fight with Wesker. Yeah, like a whole bunch of people were comparing this game to the Matrix. Wesker had his jacket, doing all the crazy ass martial art moves. He slides Chris on that table and he's about to kill him. Well, Chris, you're about to die. But oh shit, Jill! Ah! And then we apparently fall to our deaths, but not really, because I keep Jill in captivity, and I probably had my way with her, if you know what I mean, because I'm Albert Wesker. And Excella, you're nobody. And then we go into this cave, into this lab. Oh hey, these flowers were the originators of the progenitor virus. Oh hey, we're in this temple. Oh hey, more quick time scenes, which I didn't fucking like in Resident Evil 4. Now they brought them back. And then, oh hey, the liquors are back. That's kind of cool, right? No. And then we finally get the big reveal of the masked person. And it was Jill. You're alive. You're alive. Well, your hair is a bit more blonde, then you look a little pale after years of captivity in Wesker's laboratory, and yeah, Wesker, you're alive. But of course I am. I'm Albert Wesker. Jill, give me a hug. Ah! Whoa. Whoa, Jill. Okay, I know you're pretty mad that, you weren't recovered. Well, of course, they couldn't recover the bodies. It's not the BSAA's fault. But yeah, I remember this fight was pretty tough. You have to fight Jill and Wesker at the same time. And after a little while, Wesker goes away, and then you have to fight Jill. The ultimate tragic fight. Jill! Come back to me! And you couldn't exactly, shoot Jill a lot or else she died. You had to pull that thing off her chest. And then eventually, you remove the thing from her chest. And Jill says, "You have to beat Wesker, Chris. You have to beat Wesker." And the most coolest music plays. Yeah. And then you go on a ship, and then Excella Gione comes out. The Ouroboros comes out. And then you have to kill that giant thing. We find out from Jill, Wesker has a weakness. And I remember this fight where you had to fire a rocket launcher at him and then inject him, and then he escapes in this plane, and then he goes into all Hollywood comic book villain mode. He's like, "I don't need anybody else. I have Ouroboros.
I don't need anyone else. I have Ouroboros.
Complete global saturation.
Complete global saturation.
It's time to die, Chris."
Time to die, Chris.
"I'm not destroying the world. I'm saving it." Oh wait, he doesn't have sunglasses anymore. And then we land in a volcano where he absorbs Ouroboros by punching a missile. Yeah, he's Albert Wesker. He can punch missiles. And then we have the most awesome part where Chris punches boulders like it's nothing. Man, he's like totally roided up in this game. I'm Chris Redfield. Been working out a bit in between games, And then we have Wesker trying to kill you in the helicopter. And then you fire rocket launchers at him just like you killed the tyrant, Resident Evil style. And that is the end of Albert Wesker. Alas, Wesker, we knew you well. Your sunglasses have now been laid to rest. And that was the end of Resident Evil 5, which I beat in 2 whole days. 2 whole days. You could basically rent this game over a weekend and finish it. But I did replay the game enough times to unlock all the weapons and get unlimited ammo for them. And then there was Mercenaries, which was really, really well done. And you had co-op mode. I mean, I got really good using Stars Wesker with the shotgun, and then using his move to kill Maginis and the Executioners. And then after that, we got the DLC for this game, Lost in Nightmares and Desperate Escape, where in Lost in Nightmares is when you actually track Oswald E. Spencer down to his European mansion, which looks a lot like the first game's mansion. And you can actually do a trick where you can play the static camera angles in this game. And the best part about this DLC was you had to fight the Keeper with the axe, or I think they call him something else according to the Resident Evil wiki. I'll put it here. And yeah, the part where you're down in the sewer and you have to avoid him, and especially on expert mode where they get rid of the map, adds a lot more intensity to this game. I really enjoyed Lost in Nightmares. It would be cool if they redid the first Resident Evil for the 10 millionth time, in this way. I think that would be really awesome. And then you have Desperate Escape, where you're playing as Josh and Jill, and you have to fight a shit ton of Maginis in this game. I didn't exactly complete this game on all difficulty levels because it just got really hard, especially on expert mode. Yeah, so Resident Evil 5, I don't know where they went wrong with this game. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a very solid action game, but it just feels so underwhelming compared to Resident Evil 4. I mean, all the polish, and all the gameplay, and all the little things that they did for Resident Evil 4 were done so well, but Resident Evil 5 just felt like a straight up action game. Like the atmosphere was just not as scary. I mean, it's not even scary at all. I mean, you still had, you know, the crazy creatures, you know, no zombies, you had giant bosses, and you had Albert Wesker. But yeah, the game just felt underwhelming as a whole. I actually did buy the PC version where you can play a more enhanced version of Mercenaries where there's way more enemies on screen, which I did find pretty awesome though. So I would say Mercenaries was the saving grace of this game. It was definitely more fast-paced, you know, more intense. You got to switch weapons on the fly. There was more enemies, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, so Resident Evil 5, it failed to capture the magic of Resident Evil 4, but I still recommend it. It's still a very solid action game. You know, you get to play as Chris Redfield, you get to see what happens to Jill Valentine, and you finally see the final fate of Albert Wesker. So the question is, where can't you get this game? I mean, the Xbox version and PS3 versions are pretty cheap, and they were offered for free on Xbox Live and PS Plus. You can get the PC versions, and you can get them for the Xbox One and the PS4. Yeah, so that wraps up my awesome video game memories about Resident Evil 5, and if you have any memories about this game, make sure to leave those in comments below. Take care.
Over. I'm just getting started. Make sure to watch us play games on twitch.tv/BattleGeekPlus.